So one thing that's weird about the whole Jewish thing, right, is that like, for instance, like I'm like half Jewish, right? I have one parent that's Jewish, one parent that isn't, right? So I'm able to kind of like see things through a different kind of lens. I'm able to see a lot of inconsistencies in the way that people talk about Jewish people, the way people talk about Israel, and one thing that really bothers me is like the Holocaust denial. Been going on because my grandparents actually survived the Holocaust. Like, but it wasn't like they just survived it. Like their whole families were murdered, right? So it's like my grandparents came to America and basically like each had like a surviving sibling and that's it. You know, like everybody was wiped out. Like my grandmother had like a big family too, and they were all wiped out except for one brother. And that's because he left. He actually went to Israel before shit hit the fan, And then my grandfather. This is on my mom's side because my dad's not Jewish. On my mom's dad had a whole other family, like a whole other wife and daughter. So two daughters that were wiped out. So he was a little bit older because he had already had like the whole wife and kids thing, but they got wiped out, and his whole family got wiped out except for one brother. So like it wasn't all like in one. It wasn't all in one fell swoop. It was like my grandmother's dad starved in the ghettos, and then the her mother and sisters were killed in the concentration camp. One of her brothers was killed in the Warsaw Uprising, and then my grandfather. I don't know the details, but I know that he had siblings that died and his parents died. I know more about my grandmother because she did a video where she was interviewed, and so so basically, like if the Holocaust never happened, like I wouldn't be here. Like my grand grandfather would have continued with his family, and my grandmother would have probably married her other boyfriend who actually was killed. And then so my grandparents would have met each other and moved to America and had my mom. So it's sort of bizarre for me when people say that the Holocaust didn't happen or something like that, because um, and also I don't actually think that it was really exaggerated because the 6 million number comes from the Germans, and they were really meticulous about keeping track of everything. And Eichmann was the one who came up with that number, and 6 million. And also, what people don't consider is that it was a long amount of time the Holocaust happened, like because it wasn't just all the concentration camps; it was also the ghettos and the starvation and there was a lot of people rounded up and shot, stuff, mass graves, stuff like that. In Poland and Germany and in Russia, they had a harder time counting all the casualties. Um, but there's a lot in Russia, and also a lot in France, a lot in Italy, and Greece. I mean, less than Poland and Germany, but still, like so many countries had concentration camps. It wasn't just Auschwitz. It was just Bergen-Belsen. So I don't know. When I see these people like Dan Bilzerian saying like that the Holocaust was exaggerated or something. Now, I think that what happens is a lot of people go, well, why do just Jews talking about what happened? But I think the reason there's all these crazy stories is also because the sheer amount. When you think about a community that's almost completely wiped out like that, like the percentages of people that were wiped out, and the and that some of the survivors were able to tell their stories, like my grandmother. Um, you know, so a lot of the stories were passed down, and that doesn't negate the fact that genocides happen to all kinds of people. There should be movies made about the Armenian genocide, or like, or other places. Um, it just also happens that a lot of Jews were like to make movies, so it's just you know. But I really would like it if people would educate themselves more on what happened than trying to act like it didn't happen, because that's just weird.